请坐，捻一叶菩提香，阅读觉诸佛智慧海。欢迎收听由香海文化制作的放香节目。本季我们阅读星云大师著作《星云说喻》，聆听大师如何以简短的譬喻故事，巧妙引导大众，以智慧克服生活的困境，得到解脱自在。本系列故事分别中文及英文读诵，由佛光山佛陀纪念馆行政中心外事主任妙龄法师以中文诵读，人间佛教研究院副院长妙光法师以英文诵读。
Hello, this is Miao Guang. Today's Bodhi Light Tale is Soccer Game. Once upon a time, there was a soccer fan named Mike. He was so devoted that he never missed a soccer game of his favorite team, the current champions. One time, it was the finals of the championship, and his team and their rivals had attracted over 100,000 spectators. Mike was there with his friends, cheering on their favorite team. It was a very close-fought game, and everyone was sitting on the edge of their seats with excitement as the intensity of the match continued to rise. Going into the second half, the game was a close tie, each team having scored one goal apiece. Sitting next to Mike was his friend Ben. Both were following the game with great enthusiasm when Mike decided to light his cigarette. As he started smoking, he was unaware that the flame from the cigarette had started to burn Ben's shirt. Suddenly, feeling the burn on his skin, Ben yelped, "Ouch! That hurts." Only then did Mike realize that due to his carelessness, his friend's shirt had caught fire due to his cigarette. He quickly apologized. "I'm sorry for burning your shirt." Just at that moment, their favorite team had scored a goal. As Ben was so focused on the game's development, he simply shrugged and replied, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll just buy a new shirt." Without feeling bothered, he turned his attention back to the game. But they both did not realize that Ben's shirt was still aflame, and as everyone was busy cheering on their respective teams, the fire spread to the long hair of Ben's girlfriend. She suddenly screamed, "Ah, my hair!" At that moment, Mike realized that Ben's shirt was still on fire, and that it had spread. He quickly reached over to put the fire out while apologized at the same time. "I am so sorry. It was my fault. Because of my cigarette." But before he could finish explaining and apologizing, the other team had stolen the ball and scored a goal. Ben's girlfriend was so focused on the action that she didn't seem to care too much about what had just happened to her hair. She said, "Don't worry about it. This game is more important than my hair. I'll just get a haircut." She quickly turned her attention back to the game. This story highlights that when we view something as more important than our notion of self-importance, we can avoid many disputes over right and wrong. Mike's friend and girlfriend were able to overcome their attachment to their notion of self-importance or self-conceit, as the soccer game was more important, and it didn't matter to them what happened to his shirt or her hair. If they had remained attached to their notion of self-importance, then the situation could easily have escalated into a big argument with Mike. In Buddhism, there's a concept known as no self. No self does not mean that there is no notion of the self. What it truly means is that we should not cling to the concept of a self that is unchanging. Buddhism explains that the concept of the self is made up of the 5 skandhas, a collection of elements consisting of form, feelings, perceptions, mental formation, and consciousness. To see the self in terms of these elements, we can recognize that the self is not simply a single entity that is fixed and independent. Often we grasp onto things, believing they are real, fixed, and do so from the point of view of our ego or pride. This leads to our suffering. We should learn to see through this delusion by accepting the empty nature of the self. This means to truly see the self in terms of the 5 skandhas. To recognize that the true self is just a momentary gathering of conditions which eventually will disperse. Once we understand the empty nature of the self, we can eliminate discrimination between people and let go of our attachments. Walking this path can help us overcome suffering and be liberated. If we can forget the self and understand the empty nature of the self, this will surely lessen our afflictions and sufferings. Just as Venerable Master Xing Yun says, by being mindful of impermanence, one can see the origin and cessation of things, and thus practice diligently. By being mindful of no self, you can know your true nature, and thus be at ease.
足球赛。有一场足球赛吸引了10万名观众，大家正在聚精会神地观看时，有位观众香烟抽到浑然忘我，不小心香烟烧到邻座人的衣服上，叫了一声：“哎呦，好痛！”这时抽烟的人才意识到自己的疏忽，连忙道歉。邻座的人由于专心观看球赛，也就不计较，连说不要紧，回去再买一件就好了，完全不把衣服着火的事挂在心上。谁知这个人衣服上的火没有灭尽，从后面又烧到隔壁小姐的头发上，隔壁小姐的头发着了火，大叫：“哎呀，我的头发！”这个抽烟的人一想，一定是我烟上的火烧到邻座的小姐，又连忙起身赔不是。这位小姐也看球看得忘我了，也回说不要紧，回去买一顶假发就好了，继续观赏球赛。这段故事启示我们，当一个人忘我的时候，他就能免除很多是非，很多争执。佛教里面讲无我，无我的境界就是无对待，无计较，完全是一个平等的世界，没有一点争执，没有一点计较。就像般若心经中说的，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。如果我们每个人能把这个五蕴和合的假我看成空幻的、不实在的，不在五蕴的我上面计较执着，并且如实知道我空 我是因缘幻有的话，就能灭除人我对待，灭除时空想法，灭除种种计较，种种执着，进而度一切苦厄，进入涅槃。由此可见，如果要追求幸福快乐，做人不能太过斤斤计较。若能忘我、我，反而会减少很多的烦恼和痛苦。
更多内容欢迎典藏星云大师全集以及系列著作。感谢您的收听，我们下次见。